And welcome to another recording of Table Talk. Let me remind you that the team at UMI is here to take the hard work out of finding and using the best information, expertise, and finance. Their role is to help the businesses go further. My name is Pascal Fintoni. I'm joined by my colleague Kantar Mal and our very special guest from Sarags Accountants, Paul Lodder. Welcome to you, Paul.
Welcome.
Welcome. We're really fortunate to have Sarags Accounting support us with mentoring on the Digital Knowledge Exchange Programme around digital finance. So a lot of the businesses on the programme have benefited from this.
This spoke so highly of you and your team, Paul, that we had no choice but to invite you back. So the reason why I'm so keen to have you here today is when we think about digital transformation and making one's business digital, of course, where the mind goes is usually sales and marketing and close cousins of that. But another very important business function, of course, is finance and financial management. Therefore, I was keen to have you with us today to share your insights about how you introduce technology into what can sometimes be, forgive me, a challenging subject for business owner managers, where perhaps that's not necessarily an area of strength for many of us out there. So really pleased you could spend the time with us.
Yeah, no, happy to be involved. Really pleased to be involved and share knowledge and experience.
Because of course, you've been involved as a speaker at many events. I understand that you get involved in quite a few conferences to actually bang the drums about technologies across the UK.
Yeah, that's correct. I've been involved in a number of events with QuickBooks, where we spoke to in the region of 1,200 accountants I spoke to regarding making tax digital. That wasn't just for accountants, that's for every business owner in the UK who's facing the challenges and the changes that HMRC are bringing in. And then I've also been heavily involved at events, QuickBooks and Xero, on what technology can do for businesses, how technology can help businesses grow, and why it's one of those areas businesses shouldn't be scared of, but actually embrace it because of the benefits that technology brings.
So what we've done for today is almost split the conversation to three main areas. The first one, I want to actually further explore where the barriers might be, where the hesitation might come from when it comes to investing in technologies and importantly supporting your decision as a business owner manager around finance. Once we've explored that, I want to move into solutions. So what can we do to accelerate or to make the adoption a little easier? And I wouldn't mind then closing a third segment, which is maybe get a bit more, some more concrete examples from you about what does it look like once it's in place and what benefits moving forward. Before we move on to the three segment, I can't resist but ask the question. So is that, when did you become so passionate about technology and the positive impact on business operations?
I would say, I mean, in terms of, when I started getting really excited by it was probably about 3 or 4 years ago, when traditionally, whether the accountant's doing your bookkeeping or you're doing the bookkeeping yourself, where you'd be typing in invoices, you'd be spending a lot of time doing manual transactions, and then suddenly seeing software like Xero and QuickBooks come on the scene, and some of these add-ons which basically automated it all. So as an accountant, the excitement for us was we could actually then start focusing more on what the numbers meant, rather than focusing our time on processing the numbers. And then from then it's just exploded, and the technology is just moving forward so quickly.
Because you're absolutely right. To be able to spend more time explaining what the numbers mean to allow the business to make decisions, as opposed to completing tasks that I don't particularly enjoy doing, is going to improve the relationship between the two parties.
We want to help our clients achieve their goals, their business goals, their personal goals. They're often linked together because we look after lots of family-owned businesses, and everything they want to achieve there is going to directly impact their own personal goals. And now with the tools that are coming through, we can actually really drill down into the numbers. We can really explain to them, if they want to go and buy that holiday cottage in the Lake District, what do they need the business to be achieving in terms of profitability? And in the past, you know, the accountant was very much based on looking at historical figures. It was always reactive rather than proactive. Whereas now we can be super proactive. We can start doing more forecasting. We can do sensitivity analysis or scenario planning to really identify the what ifs, the challenges that every business faces. What is the outcome if this particular event happens? We can identify that early on and look at solutions now rather than when they're actually happening. So the tools and the software means that we're closer to clients than we've ever been before, and we're really getting to understand what are their goals.
That, I mean, I can only imagine how transformational that's been for your industry, for those who have chosen to adopt it. So, I mean, from your perspective, and I think that's interesting, it should be from your perspective, where do you think that hesitation, where do you think that the barriers are coming from?
The hesitation is nobody, whatever sector it is in, nobody likes change, because as soon as you bring in change, there's always that element of uncertainty. Is it really going to work? Is it going to do what we want it to do? Everything's absolutely fine because we've always done it this way and it always works fine. And nothing changes. You just plod along, but it works. So there's always the worry over, am I going to be able to cope with a changing technology? Is there the necessary support and training? What happens if it doesn't work or it goes down? Because all of these products are cloud-based. You know, what happens if the internet goes down? Does that mean I can't do anything? So there's always that element that we have to reassure business owners that actually it's all absolutely fine. There's all the support and training that's needed. Then it comes to cost. You know, there's always the assumption that, you know, this is fantastic, this product, what does it do? It does, you know, automation, how much is it? And when you start to explain to clients that actually the software is so cheap compared to desktop packages, that shouldn't be a reason not to move forward. Once we've addressed those two issues, then it's a case of good planning, good organisation. When are we going to move you onto a different product? How are we going to approach it so that no one feels overwhelmed and everyone understands what the process will be for that conversion?
Okay.
That's great. So what's been the general reaction across different industries? Have they sort of taken it on board once they've had the training?
Every client, every demo we've done has been a positive outcome. So we have now got, you know, over 1,500 clients on QuickBooks and Xero, and everyone we've demoed it to, everyone has converted because they all see the benefits. The fact that, you know, early on when I was doing demos and I was speaking to a client who would always have to leave at 2:30 to go and collect the children, and then she'd have to leave her work for the next day. Now she strolls out happily at 2:30, collects the children. When they're all playing in the garden or on the computer, she sat on the sofa on her laptop, just finishing off the bits that she couldn't in the office. So in terms of the flexibility moving on to cloud products and embracing this technology brings has just been absolutely massive. And we've just got story after story like that on how it's changed, how they work, and how they're now getting management information or understanding their numbers better than ever before.
When we reflect on the work and on that, three of us and beyond, you know, that community of advisors and supporters, sometimes it's about timing, isn't it? And to be available when the time is right for the business owner manager. But we also recognize that on occasion, somebody is considering the change, is considering the adoption of technology, but when they look around their immediate network, they can't find examples of some of their peers and colleagues who've done the same. And therefore it feels a very brave thing to do, because you'd be the first one in your immediate community to make that change.
Yeah, there is always an element that you've got to have courage, you've got to be brave to make the first step. Us as an accountancy firm, we were brave in terms of we decided we were going to go full force and move forward with offering Xero and QuickBooks to our clients. It could have backfired, but we saw that actually, why wouldn't business owners want to start using software that made their lives easier, created capacity for their accounts team, meant that the directors were getting better information? For us, it was a no-brainer. What we made sure, though, was we put in sufficient time and effort in doing the demos and doing the training sessions. You can't rush these things. On anything, if you rush it, it will lead to problems further down the line. So you have to put in the correct amount of time to make sure that you get the perfect result at the end.
So let's move on to then the second segment, which is around the solution and the steps that would take you from where you are today to actually being very happy with the investment, but also getting value from the investment. Because I think the risk is someone doesn't actually use to its full capacity. So when you consider the work that you've done, what steps do you normally go through with one of your clients to lead to a good result?
So the first step is we'll always demo the software. At the same time we're doing a demo, it's a lot of fact finding. We're understanding what their processes are, what they need to make sure is definitely in the product so that we don't have any issues. Once we've done that demo, any questions raised, they've given us the go ahead, yes, they want to move forward, then we'll sort out a time plan of when we're going to move their data from their current system onto their new system. From early on, we made mistakes. We were doing conversions which weren't at a VAT quarter end or weren't at a year end. And it soon came to light that actually for a smoother process, you always do it at a VAT quarter end or a year end. So then we would work with the client, and if they had a September quarter end, we'd say, right, let's deal with September. October, we do the conversion. By the middle of October, everything will be up and running. We'll then do training sessions. And then we make sure that the person doing the processing is very comfortable using the software. It's only when they're comfortable using the software is when we start considering what else can we bring in to really start bringing in further efficiencies, because there's over 1,000 add-ons to products like QuickBooks and Xero, which then completely change how businesses operate. From products like Receipt Bank and Auto Entry, where you can take a picture of an invoice and it'll extract all the information for you and post it automatically to your accounting system. You've got other products like Chaser, which will basically chase your outstanding debts, and it will improve cash flow collection, it will reduce your debtor days, and it will reduce the time you're spending chasing debts. And then you've got other products which are more around your reporting side of things. It's endless, but there's usually an add-on to meet any requirement. But we'll only go down that route when we know we've got the basis, the core working well.
What's I'm just intrigued about the moving data from platform A to platform B. Have you got some important lessons you'd be happy to share?
The key thing is making sure that at the point you're converting from one platform to the other, that you're happy that the data in your platform A is correct and accurate. Because at the end of the day, moving data from one system to another, if it's wrong, it will still be wrong in the new system. And we had plenty of clients who thought all the mistakes they'd made in the first system would be resolved by just moving it across into the second system. So there's an education piece to explain to the clients, all we're doing is moving data from one system to another. But having a clean edge from system A at the start just means that the data coming across is a lot cleaner. And then always do it at year end, or always do it as a quarter end, that quarter end. And it just makes the whole process more straightforward. Once it's converted, then we go through a cleansing exercise where we just double check all the ledgers, purchase ledger, sales ledger. We double check the bank is definitely all reconciled. So we're just making sure that everything's correct, and then we'll connect the bank account. The great thing with these products, you can connect directly to your bank account so that the transactions automatically appear in your software every day. No more typing in payments or receipts, does it all for you. So we build up to the perfect end solution over a period of time. And normally we say 3 months before everyone's, you know, very confident in what they're doing, used to the software, and they're understanding all the terminology and things like that.
Thank you. Kenta?
Yeah, no, I think that was one of my questions that I was going to lead on to, the typical length of time. And I think that's really important for any business when you are doing that migration. I think one of the other sort of areas that I wanted to pick back up on was cash flow, like obviously as part of the product. We have a lot of SME businesses on various different programs. And I think one of the questions would be, how would cash flow benefit their business in terms of your products?
Cash flow is the biggest challenge for every business, and it's identifying when you've potentially got a cash flow issue coming up, or whether you've got surplus cash. Without cash, you know, it's the biggest reason why businesses fail. If you go to the bank want forecasts and things like that. The great thing about being on products like QuickBooks and Xero is you can link it to products to create forecasting in terms of cash flow forecasting, but also if you do have debtors, a product such as Chaser is fantastic at chasing your debts for you automatically. It makes it look like it's coming from the individual itself, the person, so it's all very personalized. But that is known to, you know, increase debt collection significantly. So, and there's other products out there as well, but I suppose when it comes to the cash flow, it's a number of tools that can be used to help manage cash flow or have a better feel for where cash flow is. At the moment, there isn't a product out there which is, you know, 100% accurate on forecasting where it thinks your cash will be, but the software is getting, you know, more and more advanced every day, that I suspect in the next 6 months, the software will be able to tell you whether it feels you're going to be struggling for cash at the end of the month. It's nearly there already. And it will then potentially, QuickBooks specifically, potentially then go to the market and give you an idea on where you may be able to get some funding. But there's other products. There's an add-on called Capitalize, and what Capitalize will do is search the market for you and get the best deal for you if you needed any cash. So being on the cloud and embracing all this technology just opens up a whole new world of opportunity, which will ease cash flow burden.
The conversation that you and I had, Paul, was obviously, I'm wondering whether with this adoption technology, you discover your clients actually have a renewed interest in your world. You know, approaches, but we're not going to be as passionate as you are about numbers. But I wonder whether there's actually that, you know, that reconnection with running a business using numbers a lot more than in the past.
Completely. So we've had clients, you know, 50 years plus, and we've had clients who have turned around and said, actually, I've never understood the numbers until you've shown it me in this format. And sometimes all it may be is a graph showing turnover, and then the other graph showing on the same graph expenses. And the difference between the two is your profit. It's as simple as that. But visually, people understand things so much more visually compared to just pages of numbers. It's very difficult to extract the key things when all you're doing is turning pages of accounts. So accounts for us are sort of old news. They're something that have to be done because HMRC require it, Companies House, but actually we're using other products to explain the numbers more to the clients. And they do get passionate because they can see trends than ever before. So yeah, maybe not as passionate as us as accountants. But
But back to this idea of, the relationship is changing over time, that impact of technology. I just want to go back to something you mentioned earlier around this idea of predictions or spotting trends, because I'm sure, as I keep myself informed the best I can, I saw some reference of QuickBooks and Xero in and around big data, automation, and artificial intelligence. Is that what you're sensing in terms of what's coming around the corner?
Yeah. QuickBooks and Xero now have a huge amount of data, and it's only a matter of time before they start using this data to maybe benchmark your business against other businesses in the same sector, or to start picking up trends to say that, this is what we're identifying in terms of activity. So I think with AI and machine learning, what we will find is the software will start doing more and more than ever before, which will just help business owners, grow the business, achieve their goals, whatever it may be. But the software will be driving that, really.
So how do you see your role maybe evolving over time with the introduction of AI?
I think it's a question I get asked a lot, because, with this technology coming out, everyone's saying, oh, accountants won't have a job anymore or anything like that, and they won't be needed. Whereas actually, I think accountants come as the second most trusted advisor, again, next to doctors, I think, is number one. So business owners want to talk to their accountants. They want to have a second opinion. Sometimes the business owner has no one else to talk to. They're running their business and they just want a sounding board. So what we'll find is our advisory work, us being used as a sounding board, us sitting around the table will increase significantly because of the sort of wealth of experience we have across such a wide base of clients, sectors, areas. So compliance work will reduce, but advisory will increase, because even with AI and machine learning, my gut feeling at the moment is it will be more of a red flag early warning system, but then you still need to have a process to talk it through and identify what route should we go down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that'll be true for many of them, what would be the professional services label or occupation. I can't tell where on the ladder marketing people are, but I know it's not as high as accountants and doctors, but equally, be able to predict the behavior of an audience to make sure that your marketing activities and advertising budget is used more wisely is something that, is going to be great for everybody. We're not quite, but nearly out of time with each other. But one thing that we spoke about before, this recording, is you intrigued me about this idea of, the impact of visuals and so on, and we offered to prepare a few things for us. So could I perhaps ask you to share that with us?
Yeah, I will show you now. So what we have is we have a product called Pulse powered by Sarags, and what this software is doing is it's just taking the numbers of the business but putting it into a graphical format just to identify trends. So we can see, on this graph, revenue is improving and cost of sales is increasing. So although revenue is going up, cost of sales is exactly the same. The gap between the two isn't really changing. So we're not going to see, huge benefits. Just a very simple P&L, 1 year against another year, showing what the movements are. It's purely just a mechanism just to explain the numbers differently, just to demonstrate how the business is performing. And we can tailor this report to include anything really, and go back as many years as we want. We can do it on a monthly basis, quarterly basis. There's lots of flexibility we can add to this report. And we're finding that, this is what clients absolutely love. They're not just looking at a straightforward P&L and balance sheet, we're taking the numbers, we're adding more than 1 year as a comparative. And it's changing the conversations we're having, because we have lots of clients who will look at their turnover and find that turnover has gone up significantly, which is fantastic, but profit hasn't gone up as much. So they're working harder, but not actually getting the reward. So this is a report, you know, we would use in every one of our meetings just to engage with clients and to have a different sort of conversation.
Thanks. That was very helpful. And you're right. You know, the as opposed to perhaps what would have happened many years ago, where the conversation was more, have you accomplished, you know, or undertaken the admin task I've given you, to now be looking at, you know, what can we derive from that information and make a business decisions, such as some customers are not really worth our while, others are, or a particular market is better than us, and so on.
Yeah, completely.
Super. Well, listen, this has been really informative. Do you have any final questions for Paul at all?
It was just around the latest enhancements that you might have had on QuickBooks Online. Just, you know, I appreciate that as the product evolves, you know, there's going to be different functionalities. But
yeah, so QuickBooks has just released their advanced payroll. So QuickBooks now deals with payroll. In the past, business owners would potentially have a separate package for dealing with payroll.
okay.
If you use it all under one product, it will post everything for you automatically. So it's just another time saving, cloud-based again.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much. And that's part, obviously, of your role, to keep the customers informed of product enhancement.
Completely.
As I would in my discipline of digital marketing, I think people know, not necessarily to jump headlong and adopt it, but to be aware of, you know, that there's also an effort to make life easier for small business owners. Yeah,
it's probably my biggest challenge at the moment, is trying to keep up to date with it, because it changes every day. It's probably one of the fastest growing sectors at the moment in terms of accountancy tech.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's going through the roof. It's and there's lots of new things coming into the market. So it's exciting for us as accountants, but also great for our clients, because, you know, we want to save them time on the day-to-day financial side of processing, so they can spend more time on growing the business and running the business.
Super. Well, listen, I am sure this conversation has been very inspiring and helpful for our viewers and listeners. If they were to have follow-up questions, what is the best way to get in touch with you and your team?
They can go to our website and just email directly from our website, which is www.sagars.co.uk, and that's probably the easiest approach. My contact details will be on there as well.
Super. And we'll make sure that we put the details in the show notes as well, and links to the different products and services that you've mentioned. Any final thoughts, or maybe, you know, some advice for those of us that may still hesitate about adopting technology?
My advice would be, if you're worried about it or hesitating, speak to your accountant. Come and speak to us if you want to. Ask for a demo. Get your issues or concerns addressed, so that you can move forward. You can start embracing this technology, which is what every business, you know, is doing in the UK, or starting to do in the UK, because it's not as scary as you think. As long as you've got the support, it will be a smooth journey and you will benefit significantly.
Thank you so much. So let me thank you, Kenta, for being a great co-host and keeping things, you know, running smoothly behind the scenes. A really big thank you to you, Paul, and your team as well, for spending some time with us today. If I may, we're probably going to have to invite you soon, as and when your kind of specialism and technology moves on with the times, to give us an update about what's been happening.
Yeah, no, absolutely fine. I'd be delighted to.
Excellent. And to our viewers and listeners, thank you again for your support. Do keep the questions and suggestions coming our way. Until next time, go out there and grow your business. Bye-bye now.